No, I was thinking about you. I took mine off too. I don't think these guys have COVID. You don't have COVID, do you?
I don't.
No, they're fine.
I just got tested about. I got sick and I thought, oh, I got COVID.
Oh, that's right. I just got tested too. Actually, I forgot about.
Not me. But when I go to Aruba, that you have to. They make you. So when I get to the airport, they gotta test me. This is live from the table, recorded at the world-famous Comedy Cellar, coming at you on Sirius XM 99, Raw Dog, and on the Laugh Button Podcast Network. This is Dan Naturman. Noam Dorman is not here tonight. We are recording on a Monday. We usually record on a Wednesday. It's complicated, but Noam cannot be with us because he's doing his weekly Monday gig with the band downstairs. He does every Monday night. Him and his friends do live music at the Olive Tree Cafe upstairs from the Comedy Cellar. In any case, that's what he's doing. So he's left the podcast in my hands. Hopefully I'm up to the task. We have Periel Aschenbrand with us, as we always do. And she is our producer. And also chimes in and doesn't hesitate to do so. Nick Griffin is here. He is a regular or a semi-regular on our podcast, but a regular at the Comedy Cellar.
Yep.
Welcome, Nick Griffin. Nick, I want to thank you for doing the podcast. Please don't feel obligated, by the way, to do the podcast. It's too late now. You're here, but I'm saying in future.
Well, I'm a fan of you both. I have a few reasons why I'm doing the podcast. I'm a fan of you both, and also my girlfriend Leslie loves this podcast so much, and she listens to it every week. She does a long walk. I don't know if she's ever told you. She does a long walk around the perimeter.
Me, yeah.
She does it around the perimeter of the of New York City on a fairly regular basis, but does about a 14-mile walk every week, and loves listening to this. And what's the other one that's Noam does as well?
Live from
America. There he goes. But she loves both these podcasts. So I'm, pleasing her. So I'm glad to be here.
Well,
Thrilled to be
Hear
here.
more of you too.
Yes.
Well, that's the point. I did want to talk tonight somewhat about... Now, Nick, you're doing what is known as New Joke Night, which is, I guess, twice a week here at the Comedy Cellar.
It used to be. It's only once
it's only
once a week. Yeah.
Well, in any
Mondays.
case, it's around the corner at one of our auxiliary rooms, the Fat Black Pussycat Lounge.
Yeah.
And it's New Joke Night. So that just means the audience is being made aware that these are comics coming up to do new jokes, so that the expectations are such that I guess it's a little bit lower pressure. But
it's a lower bar, yeah.
Wait, can you just tease that out a little bit for people who might not be so well versed in how that your jokes come
Well,
about?
when we have a new joke, we have to test it to make sure it works, obviously. And that can be stressful, to test a new joke, especially here at the Comedy Cellar, where you feel pressure to do a great job because this is the Comedy Cellar. This is
Sure,
got a reputation
yeah.
as a place that's good. And so, doing new material, you feel like a little bit less at ease doing new material. 'Cause what if it doesn't work? And now you're not doing as good a job as you might otherwise have done. So anyway, there's a New Joke Night where the audience is told this is New Joke Night. But is that your favorite place to test out new? What's your favorite place, Nick, to test out new?
Well, I'm maybe like you a little bit because I'm a joke writer in the sense that I can try it out anywhere because most of my jokes are 30 seconds long, 15 seconds long. So it's not going to be a huge, 2-minute rant on something that doesn't go anywhere. So if it bombs, I can easily come back 30 seconds later. And I don't write 10 new jokes that I can try right away. I usually have, maybe 2 a day I can come up with that. I would say
2 days a lot.
Well, they're jokes. I don't know if they work, but it's certainly, I can try them out. And
What do you do when you think of a new joke? Do you have like a notebook or your phone? Or...
yeah, I'm just constant. I don't think I've ever typed a joke in my life. Everything's in a notebook, old-fashioned notebooky.
Wow.
And I use it with a quill. No, I write it in there, and I used to have all my notebooks, but I threw a bunch of them away, and but yeah, I write write them in the old notebook, and then I put them in a smaller notebook to bring to the cellar. And then I go on stage with an even smaller notebook.
Come on.
Kidding. Kidding. But yeah, that's my process.
I've discovered that doing new jokes at other clubs, other than the Comedy Cellar, is really where I prefer to do it.
I do too.
You know, I just feel the pressure here that it is the Comedy Cellar. Usually it's a full room, and expectations are such that, you know, some of the other clubs, it's a bit easier. Now, Nick, say you have 2 new jokes you want to work out. The first new joke, you do it, and it bombs. It dies a miserable death.
I probably won't do the second.
Yeah, well, that was the question.
Yeah, that's the kind of confidence I run around with.
Because you don't want to take the chance of having 2 jokes.
Exactly. I don't want 2 big holes in my 12-minute set. Yeah, and I don't want to go home because, you know, I don't know about you, but this is pretty much the highlight of my day is coming down here to do a set in front of a really cool, you know, engaged crowd. And so I don't want to ruin it by, like you said, bombing 2 jokes in a row or 3 jokes in a row. I just can't do it. Can't have it.
Yeah, generally I'm of that mind if the first new joke doesn't work. Although sometimes it has the opposite effect because I'm like, fuck, I need a new joke to work for my self-esteem. Because when the old joke works, you don't really, it
don't care.
Doesn't help it doesn't help you feel good about yourself.
How many times do you have to tell a joke in order for it to get entered into like the okay, this one works?
Right, to make the team.
Yeah, that's a good.
Because there's only so many uniforms to go around. And you get...
I would say maybe if it works well 3 times, then I can say, okay, it works. But before the 3rd time, I'm like, the first time, you're still on probation. I'm still not. If a joke works really well the first time, I'm barely more confident because I just know that there are jokes that sometimes work great and never work well again. I don't know why that is. Now, another aspect is, what if the joke doesn't work well at all the first time? Do you even try it the second time, or you just write it off, Nick?
I might rewrite it a little bit, but chances are I'm going to write it off. Yeah.
Really? You don't even get?
I mean,
I
won't rewrite.
Chance.
I won't. Yeah, I don't. Probably not. I mean, maybe twice, but never. I can't imagine that I would try a joke that's bombed twice, 3 times. I just.
It also depends on the degree. Like if it's a flat line.
That's what I'm referring to.
If it's an utter flat line, like 0 laughs, anything, and that's a pretty good indication that you have nothing there.
Right.
Not necessarily, but I've had jokes at some time, you know, I did a joke just the other night. I was at the West Side Comic Club, and it was a flatliner, but it's killed here on occasion.
So what do you make of that?
Well, it's kind of...
you wouldn't be open to repeating
the joke is as follows.
Go ahead.
It's a joke I tried out on Twitter, and it worked well on Twitter. The joke is how my friend's daughter's a Girl Scout, and so he approached me about, you know, buying Girl Scout cookies, and I did a little research into the program, and it turns out that the Girl Scout cookie program is designed to help young girls grow into women with confidence and self-esteem. But you know what? The cookies are so delicious, I bought them anyway. So that usually does pretty well. It flatlined at the West Side Comedy Club. I mean, utterly flatlined.
Really?
And the explanation might be it's a little harsh. I don't know.
Well, sure. I mean, it's a risky joke for a straight white guy to tell, but that's kind of why it's also funny.
Appealing,
yeah. That's. I mean,
or maybe they didn't follow it. You know, it wasn't necessarily the swiftest crowd that night. I hate to say.
Not blaming the audience.
Well, not to no. But when a joke works well much of the time and doesn't work at all with like total 0, then you have to ask yourself, well, maybe the audience is at least partially responsible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the question that the audience could be at least partly to blame.
Absolutely. I was just giving you a hard time. Now, do you write your jokes down in a notebook too?
I do not. Because I never did, and then now it's kind of become a thing. Like,
what do you just remember everything in that noggin of yours? All of it?
Well, all of it. As far as I know, all of it. But then again, I could have 20 minutes of brilliant material that I've forgotten. I doubt it.
You don't type it. You don't have like files.
Nah, I got nothing. Well, what if I get captured by the enemy?
That is so crazy. Oh, I mean, both of you, by the way.
Nick writes it down.
Notebooks. I mean,
what's wrong with a notebook? It's people did it for generations.
Okay, but
Shakespeare had a notebook.
Right, but people didn't have phones for generations either. Now we do.
Do you do it on your phone?
I type everything in.
Yeah, I know.
into the
I know
computer.
people who do.
I write.
and-
I write. because I'm a writer, so I write,
I
and I like
understand.
writing.
My guess is that the notebook is a very common form of writing down your jokes. I highly doubt David Tell, for example, types anything in jokes into his laptop. I would be astounded.
But what happens if you lose the notebook?
It's trouble. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad news. And I have lost notebooks.
But you can also
it's
lose
like,
files.
Sure, but
It's also like Dan said. I started doing it in a notebook, and I've just stuck with it. And I've had a couple, disasters where I lost the notebook. But my riffing ability in front of an audience is unparalleled. So I didn't need material some of those nights. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, it's a disaster when you don't have the notebook.
wait. You're kidding.
I was
you,
joking
you,
that
you
I
can
could
riff.
riff. Yeah,
You
no,
can-
of
you
course
can
I can
riff.
riff,
But
but I'm not
you don't do a lot.
I'm not an Ian Bagg
Well,
guy who could do 30 minutes of just riffing.
Well, that's also just not. I don't think your preference.
my
anyway.
style.
Yeah, you like.
Maybe you could do it. It's just not what you choose to do.
Right. But like you said about like Attell, who is the master. I don't think I've ever seen him with a note. I know.
I
can't
think I'm
imagine.
pretty sure I've seen him with a notebook.
Have you?
I don't typically not on a lot of comics on stage. They'll bring up a notebook.
They
to
will
refer
bring
to,
up a notebook.
But I don't believe Attell does that. So and he does a lot of new stuff in a set.
Yeah.
So that's pretty astounding. Actually.
Wait, what did you
just
guys?
just to remember that shit, let alone that the jokes are good,
But
which is impressive enough.
Isn't that what you do too?
But I only do one or two new ones at best, at most. So I'm not remembering a lot of new shit. I'm doing the stuff that's like locked into my memory because I've done it so much. Whereas Attell might do 10 new minutes. That's all shit that I don't see any evidence that he's written down anywhere, that he's referring to anything. So
What did you say? Did you say that most people do or do not bring something on
no,
stage?
most people do not.
Do not, but they do at home. Have no most people.
But people like some of the bigger acts, some of the drop-ins that are not on the schedule, that are doing a lot of new material, and that have license to be a little less, a little more laid
Sharp,
back.
really. Yeah.
Yeah, they will bring a notebook. So like Aziz might be more likely to bring a notebook, or
I see a lot of people bringing notebooks on stage.
I don't generally only.
Have you?
I generally only see like the drop in big names bring
Hmm.
notebooks, but maybe other. I think I saw others once in a while, but generally it's just those guys because we have to be more professional because we don't
Yeah,
have
they have more license.
We don't
They
have the
have
license that we don't have the tenure that they have.
It's not. It's not considered professional to bring.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's here. It's a professional show. Audiences are paying money to see a professional show, and you're sitting there looking at a notebook. It's not that professional.
Don't you think no one would say something if 4 of the 5 acts on the bill brought up notebooks? And
Yeah,
I mean, I think it depends who they were. I
Well,
think
if it's 4 of the 5 acts, but it was all like huge names, then he'd be fine. But if it
Yeah,
was
of
4
course.
or 5 acts like that are not famous, yeah, he would not like that at all. Absolutely not. By the way, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I guess Hanukkah's over, so we can dispense with the Happy Hanukkahs, and we can
Well,
focus on what's really important. Merry Christmas. and I say
Wait.
that as a Jew because let's face it.
Yes.
This month is all about Christmas. Happy Hanukkah or Happy Holidays. It's a courtesy.
Yeah.
But if it were not for Christmas, nobody would say. In other words, say the Hanukkah didn't exist or any other holiday didn't exist, we'd still have parties. We would still have decorations.
Sure.
It would still be the Christmas season. But if they take away Christmas and leave Hanukkah, it would just be a normal month. There would be no lights on the streets. There'd be no parties. There'd be no anything. So it's all Christmas drives the entire mechanism.
I agree.
I had this argument with people on Twitter, by the way. They weren't getting what I'm saying, as they so often don't. But
I love Christmas.
but the fact is, Christmas is the whole engine that drives this whole thing. So what I'm saying is, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Wait, can I ask
in the
you guys a
driest way
question?
possible.
Can I selfishly use your years of expertise?
Oh,
Um,
sure.
So
Oh, you have a comedy question?
Yeah.
Because I was getting into the Christmas.
I
thing.
know, but before you totally veer, if not,
Well-
it's okay. I can ask later.
You go ahead.
What happened?
I have veering privilege, but go ahead.
You have veering privilege. Well, that's why I asked permission.
Okay.
What happens if, like, you have 10 minutes of jokes that usually do extremely well.
Just by the way, just to preface, I'm sorry, it needs to be said. Periel is a relatively new
Yeah.
stand-up comic, so she is full of questions and.
Right. So I've been doing it for a few years now, but I got derailed a little bit with COVID. But okay, anyway. And then I went into a new space, and the room was a nightmare. I mean, it was like one table of like 15 college kids,
Oh.
and then like a dad, like a 40-something-year-old dad with like
Yeah.
a 19-year-old son, and then 3 Asian people from like Japan, and then like a modern Orthodox Israeli couple. And it was just awful.
So your question is.
Well, does that mean that the material that usually does really well, like it's actually not doing really well, or
Well, if it does really well most of the time, then it's good. Then,
Yeah, it's a
you know.
judgment call. I would imagine it's the audience under those circumstances.
If it's something that always worked but didn't work this particular time,
but isn't it your job to like figure out how to make it work no matter what?
That's a good question. I mean, they've always said over the years, like, well, various people who I can't remember their names said, well, you should be able to handle any circumstance.
Yeah.
But I think just getting through the set is a way to handle some of those situations.
I mean, well, one could look at it this way. Would you expect a country music artist to appeal to rap fans?
It's
I
different,
mean, you know,
though.
well-
Isn't your job as a comic to like? Well, you said it's a professional thing. Like you walk in, the room is different. So isn't it your job to just?
It's your job to do the best you can, you know. But if you can't do it, you can't do it. What are you going to do? Yeah, I guess theoretically, sure. If you, I mean, I prefer to kill rather than bomb, so I will try to kill every time. But sometimes there's no kill to be had. At least not with my act. There's only so much you can do. So didn't work. It didn't work. But that's one school of thought. And Noam has often said, well, it's our job to always kill, and that Noam will sometimes sort of make fun of comics that consider themselves sort of above that they do their thing, and if the audience doesn't want to come along, fuck them. But I think that there is such a thing as sort of being a niche player. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, you find your audience, but I mean, you've produced enough shows to, I'm sure, of course, understand that there's only so much you can do with a bunch of people who may not even be that well versed, not only on comedy, but the fact that there's a show in the venue. I mean,
Yeah,
I played a bunch of rooms where people were surprised there was even a show that night, and you had to do the best you could, and I bombed, but I've done well. I've done both.
I wanted to jump in a river, but I also sort of felt like you should be able to pivot and, sort of, I don't know if it's crowd work or
Well,
what.
if crowd work can sometimes do the trick, if you want to do that, yes. I mean, but if you don't have the tools, you don't have the tools. But
maybe it comes with experience and time.
but everybody can bomb. There's nobody's immune to that.
Yeah.
Nobody's immune to that. Now, if you're a famous person that brings their own audience, like I opened for Louis recently, well, all those people in that audience are there for Louis, so they all like Louis shit already. The likelihood that he's going to bomb is very minimal.
Right.
The likelihood that could bomb, that's a little higher, but not that high because his audiences tend to be pretty good.
And respectful and smart and
yeah, they tend to fit in well with whatever I'm saying generally, So that's
Well, you're also hand selected to open, right? So
yeah. So I guess I don't know to what extent Louis, what his criteria are, or in general what the criteria are for opening acts. I mean, there's different criteria. First of all, how hard do you want the guy before you to kill? And does that help? I mean, you don't want him to bomb and piss everybody off, but do you want him to annihilate? Is that going to help you in any way? Is that? I mean, I guess it makes the show somewhat better, but do you benefit from that as the headliner?
Having worked with or seen Louis over the years, I don't think anyone crushes as much as Louis, and I think Louis.
Well, certainly with his audience, he's going to crush.
Yeah, of course, but that the confidence that I don't think he's.
Right, he's not worried that he's going to be blown off the stage.
That's not his first concern.
Right, right. So then, but I'm saying is, so then when he looks for an opening act, is his criteria somebody that kills the hardest, or somebody I can stand spending a few days with on the road, or somebody that I like personally, or something that I want to help give a few bucks to because I think they need the money? I mean, I don't know what's going on. In
I would say
head.
it's someone he respects and wants to, probably enjoy a few minutes with or a few hours with on the road. But
Yeah, I spend very little time with Louis, so it's not like he's not picking me because we hang out, because we don't hang out at all.
no, I just meant during the show and stuff
Right.
that you're not going to be.
I think there's a couple
jackass.
of factors. He knows I'm going to do a good job.
Of course.
So in front of the audience, he can stand hanging out with me
Mm-hmm.
for some period of time, and he respects me, and he probably thinks I need,
Well,
let me finish, please, if you would. He probably thinks, Dan could use a few bucks. And since
No.
I respect him, I'm going to do something nice and give him a few bucks.
No, I think you're so fucking off. Especially because he's like, this is one of my favorite comedians.
Well,
I don't know
mean,
why that's so.
he said
like,
that was
difficult
the
for you
intro-
to like take in.
just by way of just some synopsis. Before he brought me on the night that because Periel made a special trip to Chicago to come see the show. Louis said, "This is one of my favorite acts. Please welcome Dan Naturman." How seriously can we take that statement?
I think Louis, and I don't say this lightly. I think Louis is a very serious person, and I don't think he would say it if he didn't believe it. Louis doesn't seem to me to throw off casual comments, especially about veteran comics who he's been around with for 25 years. So,
Yeah, that's how it could be.
I mean, that would be my take.
I mean, you think he gives a shit? Like, you think he's thinking
But
about whether or not you need a few extra bucks?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
I think so. But because he used a lot of opening acts, I think he is I think he's trying to help people and be generous with people. He's donated money to
Sure.
comedians' causes. When during the pandemic there was a fundraiser for comedians, he donated a large amount of
Right,
money.
yeah, for the
I
good
do
staff,
think
too.
I do think he's cognizant of helping people out. So yeah, I do think that's a factor.
I'm not discounting that. I just think that he thinks that the comics that he puts on, I would imagine that he thinks that they're brilliant.
Well, I
comics.
might ask him, but we don't talk very much. Nick, now you
Yes.
you headline on the road, so you have opening
Sometimes
acts.
I do.
So what would you prefer in an opening act?
I would prefer someone who's a good, solid joke teller and fun to hang out with. Those are basically my two criteria, and are my criteria, and that's about it. I mean, I like to. I don't hang out a lot on the road anyway, but I like to go out for a lovely load of pancakes at the end of the night, or some coffee or something. Lovely pastrami sandwich.
Mm-hmm. I hear you with the pastrami. Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that at 1 a.m. And
it may not be healthy, but what happens?
No, it's not. It's not healthy at all, especially on that white bread. Or
Well, get rye.
Yeah, rye. Yeah, you don't want to.
That'll make all the difference.
Yeah, but yeah, that's been my and I have some buddies who, if you're a middle act, especially these days, you're probably making nothing. I mean, you're probably going home with $150, $200 after your flight and your meals. So, but that's the decision they make is either stay home and make $100 or go on the road and have a little fun and be in a different city and hang out.
We'll tell everybody what a middle act is. I don't know if all the.
Well, you got 3 acts. You got your host there who does about 10 to 15.
Yeah, this is just sort of just the standard in comedy clubs.
on the road, yeah.
For somehow this became the standard, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
10, 15. And they've probably been doing it maybe 3 years or less, maybe a little more. But and then the middle act does 25 minutes basically, and that's the problem. Going from a middle act to a headliner is it's a hard transition because you got to have maybe a little credits and some stuff you can brag about on the marquee. He was on James Corden or something, or Fallon or something. So it's hard to move up, is what I'm saying, from a middle act to a headliner. Because I've worked with some really good middle acts, and they probably headline on their own, but it's hard to get booked.
Well, the middle acts are often like after a show. I don't work clubs that often, but I would hear people say you should have headlined to the middle act, which is kind of devastating to hear. But and I've been told
for
that
both people, I feel like.
Well, the middle act isn't quite as devastated as the headliner overhearing it, and I've been told that as a middle act. The middle act, I mean, he's at somewhat of an advantage because he's doing less time.
Oh, I would say an advantage, yeah.
And they're not dropping checks during his set as they often will do during the headliner set. But it's less time, so it's more compact, and they're often very strong. And as Nick said, they often should be headlining, but maybe they just don't have the credits or whatever.
Yeah, they live in Oklahoma City or Kansas City or Des Moines.
Or maybe they're just more if they live in the town that you are performing in, they might just be better adapted to that audience.
Yeah.
So you're coming from, I'm a city slicker, come from New York, and this guy might live in Tennessee or live in Oklahoma and is just more in tune with those people. So in that sense also there's an advantage.
So do you bring your opener or your host and your middle act with you, or like
just the middle act, and not always. Not always will they let me. A lot of towns, like Dan said, will only use support acts from that town. So sometimes they'll have an opener and a middle from Des Moines when I go to Des Moines. Sometimes they'll have 3 or 4 just openers. Everyone does 10, and then they bring me up. So it's, I would say half the time on the road, I bring a guy from New York City, or I have somebody in the Midwest who I like, and he'll drive there.
But it's hard because they pay so poorly to be a middle act that if you're doing a show far away and the guy lives in New York that you want to bring, he's not going to make any money because he got to fly there.
And they don't pay anything, and oftentimes
they might not give a hotel room.
Yeah, oftentimes.
So it just makes more financial sense for somebody local to do it.
But isn't that what you just did in Chicago?
Well, Louis has a budget,
right?
So he can bring me. We're talking about. I mean,
he's playing in front of 2,000
Louis is a big
people?
corporation that has a big budget to bring people and to pay for hotels and pay for airfare. We go to a local comedy club. They pay the middle act. Whatever they $500 for the whole weekend. I don't know, is $500 for the weekend?
Yeah, it's probably.
And if you have to spend $300 in airfare to get wherever you're going,
somewhere between 4 and 7 is how much it is, and they don't give you airfare. And,
for the middle act, not for the headline.
For the middle act, yeah.
They might give you a hotel, but if they don't give you a hotel, then you're really not making anything. But
But oftentimes they do it because they want stage time, and if they're having a hard time on the road, they're probably having a hard time in New York City getting stage time as well. So they thought, well, best case scenario, I'll just go on the road and take a hit. And
also,
hang
it's
out with the great Nick
experience,
Griffin.
and hang out with the great Nick Griffin.
Right.
Sure. I mean, also it's experience, isn't it?
Yeah, no, of course, that's exactly what it is, and that's what I did for years on the road. I middled for Bobby Slayton for probably 5 years.
That seems like an odd pairing, you and Bobby.
I know it is.
The bulldog, or what they call him, the bulldog,
The
pitbull
of comedy.
Yeah. That does seem like an odd pair.
I'm
If you don't know Bobby's.
to say I don't know who that
Well,
is.
he's having an
They
aggressive
used to call him
guy.
Sid Yishus or Sid Yishus.
Well, he's Jewish, so I guess.
That's
Yeah, he was big.
hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
But Nick is very soft spoken, as you can tell just by listening to this
experienced.
podcast, and certainly
Thank God for these mics.
certainly on stage, he is a lower energy guy. So it is an odd. But I guess if you're going to have an opening act, your opening act should have less energy than you.
Yeah,
the
and
opposite,
maybe a little different.
The opposite could be problematic if you had somebody like Bobby Slayton opening for you.
Right.
Like I had this guy Kool-Aid opening for me years
Never
ago in
heard of
Detroit.
him.
Well, Kool-Aid is a very high energy black guy.
Yes.
He annihilated, and I proceeded to then stink up the room.
No, that's not true.
Well, I'm telling you, it's true.
Dan was there.
This is early in my
He smelled
headlining
the
career, but
stink.
I'm not saying it wouldn't happen tomorrow necessarily. But I just didn't connect with those people. But he certainly did. And so it wasn't necessarily pleasant. But anyway, I do want to. There's a couple other topics, but first of all, didn't you have something, Periel, you wanted to address?
Am I being invited to choose a topic now?
Well, no,
that'd
you
be
had mentioned before the show. Shouldn't we talk about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as it turns out, most of the show's just really for my benefit at this point.
Was it my upcoming
no,
Aruba trip?
I wanted to talk about your jacket. So I saw you in Chicago. It was freezing. Okay, it was fucking freezing. He is walking around.
Well, I'll show you what I'm walking around with. I have it with me.
Well, we're on a radio
But
show.
I can describe it, and you can look at it, and I can describe it
go
to the
ahead.
audience. It is a leather jacket and a very light vest atop the leather jacket.
Oh, nice.
Is that normal?
I don't know. I'm not at.
Well, the thing about it is my other jacket, the zipper is broken, and This is all I have for now. But Periel got on my case because she is concerned about me catching cold to get a jacket. So she sent me a link to Dick's Sporting Goods. And a jacket that so I bought it today.
You did?
I thought I sent
today.
it to, it was a Patagonia jacket.
Well, whatever it was, you sent me the link, said, I suggest this jacket. Then you gave me another suggestion. I bought it, the $300 one. So
Patagonia. I'm very proud of you.
I
It was
think that-
nuts. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, well, the truth of the matter is I'm not outside that much. Like in Chicago, I went out, I got into the car, the Uber, went to the theater, did the show, got back into the Uber, went to the hotel, and the whole day at the hotel, I didn't go into the hotel. I went to the
Was it
Cheesecake Factory
downtown?
across the street. Yeah, it was downtown.
You cannot...
And who was the other support act?
Mike Vachon.
Oh, well, lovely.
They were great. It was so fun.
Wait, do we have another Mike, Nicole? Because we have, sounds like Ryan Reiss is here.
Oh,
and I count
shit.
3 mics.
That was my fault. I forgot to tell you that.
Well, that's okay because Nicole's good under pressure. And fans of the show know Nicole. She is our sound engineer.
Sorry, Nicole.
She does it all.
Dan changed his mind,
As one,
which is
as
fine.
which
But
is
that
one,
was why
you
I
know, can do.
So you're going to Oklahoma, and you're going to
Oklahoma
Aruba.
City in, that would be the 5th through the 9th, I believe.
And where can people find you when they
You could find nickgriffin.net. You can see all my tour dates there. That'd be lovely. And there's some videos there and a couple pictures, a bio, and that's about it, really. Your standard website.
I don't have a website. My website, I stopped paying. For whatever reason, like the money was due and I forgot and I didn't know, and then the website went offline and I never put it back up. So I don't have a website. But I mean, our website's a big. Do you need them nowadays, or is it all Instagram and TikTok?
You know, I was
and
going to
Twitter?
ask you that, Periel, if you felt like basically eventually Instagram will just be where everyone gets all their information of people, or
I just yes, you need to have an Instagram. Your date should be on your Instagram, but you should have a functioning website. I mean, it's like a business card. It doesn't have to be like a whole fancy thing,
right?
but I feel like it's like a professional, it's like a calling card. You need to have a website, I think.
Yeah.
Just where everything is. Your manager's information.
Well, also Instagram, I guess theoretically could not go out of business. Well, I guess it could, or it could stop. Like, in other words, if you have
stop.
If you have 100,000 fans on Instagram and Instagram controls it, so if Instagram ever stops being Instagram, then you lose those 100,000 followers.
Okay, but let's say
that's not likely to happen, but I'm saying it could happen.
somebody sees you opening for
But is that true or
Louis.
false?
No, it's...
You're saying Instagram is never going anywhere.
It's very unlikely.
It is unlikely, but I'm
it's-
saying you don't control those 100,000 people
That's,
entirely.
Okay, that is true, but it's not in Instagram's best interest if they have somebody who has 100,000 followers.
Well, I don't know what could happen to Instagram. You're likely correct that nothing would happen to Instagram, but I'm saying you do not control 100% your that network. So
if I want to book either one of you on a movie, how do I do that if I can't find you? I'm a big
you
director.
can find me. Not hard to find. If you're really interested, it's not hard to find. I mean, if you're that,
I've got a email address on my website as well.
That's
so,
good.
Yeah.
you can instant message. You can hey, Ryan Reiss is here. Ryan Reiss.
There's Ryan Reiss, everybody.
Ryan Reiss, everybody, who is a I don't know if we gave Nick did we give him an intro? I guess we did. So I'll give
Not really.
No, we did. We said he's a regular here. He's a regular on the podcast. That's good enough. Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Ryan Reiss, everybody. Another Comedy Cellar.
Thank you.
A Comedy Cellar regular. And is the movie out? You did a documentary.
It's not. No. We're in. We are in post
Production. So I guess by the way, we were addressing.
Nice shirt.
Thanks,
Ryan
bud.
always looks.
Especially now.
Ryan always looks his best.
He does.
massive insecurities. I mask it with dressing nicely and trying to present well.
Well,
Success.
in any case, it couldn't hurt. We were talking about we were talking earlier about new jokes, and where do you prefer to work out new jokes? What's your favorite place to work out a new bit?
I mean, I think it's all kind of. I mean, I don't know. It's
You
all
just
kind
have
of
to jump
changed.
right in, yeah.
It's changed. It's not what it was.
What's not what it was?
Well, I mean, you know, when
What was it?
Yeah, all right. So you would go to probably the road would be where you do new jokes before you bring them back to the city.
Okay, I mean theoretically, I don't because I feel more pressure on the road because it's like if I'm headlining, I'm the headliner.
But you have more time. So if you
Also, I'm more stressed on the road because that's the nature of me. And when I'm stressed, I don't want to deal with new material. I just want to run the shit that I have. But that's me.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm different in many ways from your standard comic.
From your standard person too.
Well,
maybe.
that's true. So, but you would say, but you like to do comic new stuff on the road outside New York City on the road, ideally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it feels like it's less pressure.
Yeah, we all agreed that you always want to have, or you want to try to always have a great set at the Cellar, and it's hard to try new jokes there. I mean, I do try them, but
But on the road,
I
feel
sneak
that
them in.
On the road, I feel that same pressure because if you're the headliner,
Yeah, of course. I
then
understand,
they're coming to see you specifically. So the place that I prefer to new jokes is in the city, anywhere but here.
So, like, if you're doing like a little show, like my show,
Like the Periel show, the cunt show. That's what she called it. I'm sorry, that's what she called
it's
it.
called "See You Next Tuesday."
Right, but your logo's a vagina, and it's called "See You Next Tuesday."
I mean, that's just good sales. I mean,
So
I'd buy a ticket.
Not since the Nike brand. Have we
They-
seen something.
They said I should change the name because they're giving me a Thursday night now.
But that's
Where?
no reason.
Where's
see you next Thursday.
No, they said like I should, and they also said it's vulgar, so I might.
Well, it
be
is vulgar. And it's also not related to the show. I mean, if the show was like a woman's empowerment show, then one might make that connection. But it's just a regular show that you happen to call that happens to have a vagina logo. So I don't.
Well,
see the
no, I mean it's more intellectual than that. It's not meant to be like gratuitously vulgar. I have a real issue with this, sort of bad word thing, and people are so scandalized by the word cunt that it's.
I mean, you had me at vagina logo,
Thank
and you
you,
lost me at
Ryan.
intellectual. I was like, oh, there's a reading? No, thank you. I don't.
And a lot of people don't even realize that. Because you know.
I know what the vagina. The logo.
You know what's funny? I didn't recognize that until
See?
after a while.
Yeah.
But in any case, you
I did.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
well, it's a cartoon. It's it doesn't look. It's a cartoon. It's a drawing. But you.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't pick up on that. I really got to look into that.
But your show, yes, would be an ideal show for new material. That's correct.
Is that because you feel like a lot of love because you're
feel-
surrounded by people who love,
supportive,
Yeah.
environment.
and we're so happy to have you there? Or you just it was
it's
maternal-
low pressure.
great.
It's,
Thanks.
I mean,
I don't give a shit if I bomb at Periel.
Where's
You
the
know.
show?
Stand up.
It's
It's in New York.
yeah. There's usually the audience is not. It's not bursting at the seams in terms of the capacity.
Yeah.
So and yeah, it's your show. It seems it's not the same as working here.
You usually do very well though too. So you probably
Yes, and once
confidence is probably
yeah.
up.
So they seem to like me. So
They do like you.
So in any case,
What demographic are we looking at there? Young women?
It's no, not at all. Is that what are you in the market for, Nick?
Intellectual
No.
women.
But CUNT,
It
I
is
thought
smart.
there might be
I
a
feel-
kind of a
No, it's
appeal
not.
to
No, I'm
like
just
a-
entertaining myself with that name.
Oh, okay.
I think it's across. I think it's a lot of New York. They get tourists too, though.
Yeah.
I think that all the comics that I gravitate towards and the people that we put on the show are usually pretty smart. I mean,
So just to
So,
pivot a little bit, if I
Do
could.
you like smart comedy, Dan? Just
well-
not specifically, but I'm just curious about.
do I like smart comedy?
I wonder if
I'm not
there's such
sure
a-
what smart comedy
Is that-
is. There's comics that talk about intellectual topics, but that doesn't mean it's smart. It just means you might be talking about politics, but you can talk about politics in a dumb way.
I always felt that
and you can
Geraldo-
talk about taking a shit in a smart way.
I always
Sure.
felt Geraldo did the smart dick joke, meaning like it was like this heavy intellectual topic, and it usually ended up with like a dick in the eye, or so. You know what I mean? Like it started in like some.
Well,
some
the
or like,
topic doesn't dictate
No.
the whether it's a smart joke or not. So I mean, Attell is a guy that seldom broaches intellectual topics, but his jokes are well written. So in that sense, it's smart comedy.
well, he's also a genius. I mean, I think that there are some. I mean, listen.
That's not relevant to what I'm saying. I'm saying that he doesn't tackle weighty issues. He's not talking about political issues.
Right, that's not what I
He's
meant. but
talking
I hear
about
what you're
his,
saying.
his friend Lollipop Johnson and the midget that he solves crimes with, or whatever he's talking about. But does it in a smart way. So to answer your question, I guess I like a well-written joke, but the topic doesn't have to be a weighty topic.
Yeah, agreed.
And some people think they're smart because they happen to be talking about weighty issues, but they're doing it in a way that is not necessarily all that smart.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, all
You're
right.
talking about Brooklyn comedy.
Well, I don't go there, but
no one does.
sorry, Andrew. Can you tell us a bit? I'm sure we've touched this on other episodes, but a bit about the documentary that you're doing.
Sure. The documentary, I guess we would call it a narrative documentary. It's called Before We Get Started. It's about the career path of a warm-up comedian. A warm-up comedian is someone that opens every TV show you see with an audience. Every TV show you see that has an audience starts with a comedian that opens the show. So some of these warm-ups have gone on to great things like Bob Saget and Mark Summers and a few others. And
Who's
others.
Mark Summers?
Mark Summers was the host of Double Dare.
Oh, him. Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, it's
He's also big on
not
the Food Network.
Not quite as renowned as Bob Saget, but
Yeah, but I bet you he's got more money than Saget.
you think?
Food Network. He created a lot of shows.
If you create the show, yeah, you might.
got in early.
Judge Judy apparently is one of the richest people in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Love her.
Me too. I loved her curb.
Oh, she's so great.
So anyway, the
Right. So the basically it explores the world of warm-up comedy through me, who does warm-up comedy, to see basically the narrative is like, is this it for me? Is there something else? And then obviously we go on this journey and we meet some people that are career warm-ups like Joey Cola and some counterparts like Mark Sweet in L.A. And then, we meet the other guys that have done it, and then they've gone on to other things.
So what in your estimation are the factors that make a great audience warm-up comic? I mean, David Tell, who's considered a great comic, would he be a great audience warm-up comic?
He's in the movie. He did it.
Oh, he did audience
Yeah,
warm-up?
that's why it was so funny.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it's
What about say Mitch Hedberg or that energy level?
well, Seinfeld did it also.
But Seinfeld's
But the idea is you're serving the show and the host of the show as opposed to yourself. So you can't go out there and do your favorite joke because you love it. It speaks to you. You can't do that. You might sour the audience. Like, they didn't come there to see you. They came there to see the show.
So what do you need to do?
You have to be in service of the show.
Which means,
Try
the audience basically they want to be, like say it's a sitcom, right? So the sitcom is some between shots they have to set up the cameras. They have
It's
to
a 6-hour taping. Yeah.
So
It's
so there's a
monster-
lot of time where they're not actually
monster job.
filming anything. So
Yes.
that's your job to do it, to just be the entertainer.
Well, once again, when you get on these bigger shows, they also have things they're going to help you. Like, they pay a DJ to go with you, and they also bring in food, and they also bring in water. Like, so there's a lot
They
of
have
things.
giveaways too, don't they?
They have
Toss
giveaways.
stuff
So
out.
when you do a show that has a budget like that, there's a lot of help you get in entertaining this audience or holding them for 6
How
hours.
much time is it? I mean, they're shooting a sitcom for 6 hours? You're going on and off for 6 hours?
If it's a new sitcom, it could take that long. But if they've been doing it for a couple of years, they can probably bang it out in like 2 hours. It's a monster job. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of creativity and really just to hold this audience's attention. And they got to like you. If the audience doesn't like you, you're done. They have to like you because they're going to be with you for a while.
I mean, how important is it to be funny as opposed to just keeping the energy going?
Well, that depends. Like Mark Sweet's a hypnotist and a magician, so he works that into his act when he's doing a sitcom in L.A. Joey doesn't do that. Joey does comedy. It varies on the performance.
And I would imagine you would have to keep it clean or reasonably clean.
Depends on the show. I mean, like for someone like me, I make that choice because it's just safer. But I've been to shows where they're not. They're a little edgier. But you run the risk of getting a complaint.
But I guess it would depend. Like if you're doing a network show, I mean, if you're doing back in the day, going back to the Cosby Show or something, a family show, then you'd probably be expected
That's
to be.
quite a choice.
Well, I haven't been watching sitcoms in a while, so
I believe Chris Rock had done some sort of warm up for the Cosby Show, and Cosby felt he was too dirty and took the
Oh,
mic,
that's
and took the mic from
amazing.
him.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, Cosby's also was just notorious for being a stickler about clean.
Yeah,
Right. Well, he's like
super-
raping somebody in the back room.
Yes, I mean, yeah.
Chris Rock's being too dirty telling jokes. And
Well, nobody
Cosby's
said the man wasn't a hypocriite, but he
the
did.
irony is thick.
It's just amazing.
So you're now in the post-production stage, and then it's like film festivals or something?
No, I have a I basically we shot it, and the first cut wasn't what it needed to be, so I had to bring in a new creative and new animators, and get someone to score the thing, like basically all the post production work. I do have an agent that's gonna rep it, and we're just gonna get it out there.
Try to sell it to like Netflix or something like that.
Well, I think I stacked the deck enough that I hope someone will want to spend something on it.
Well, it sounds. You're the producer.
Yeah.
Sounds that's a lot of work, obviously.
Well, I didn't say it was the greatest choice in the world, but
Okay. Well, no, it is if it becomes a big deal.
well, look, the hard work, the assets to the film was one, the story, which hasn't been done, and two, all the talent I was able to get in it, which was super. All the comedians that lent their time, it's just such a huge help. Saget, Seth Meyers, John Oliver, Amy Schumer, Ray Romano, all these people lent their time and helped make this happen. So now I just got to get it across the finish line.
Well, we certainly wish you luck with that, and be on the lookout for what's it called again?
Before we get started,
Nicole, by the way, Nicole, you there? Yeah, what's up? Any thoughts about the show so far? We often ask
It's
Nicole.
the best deadpan response I've heard in years.
Part of the show, it's become a feature, really,
Go ahead.
is to ask Nicole what she thinks of the episode.
Yeah, this is great. You're doing a good job of balancing the inside baseball with making it accessible for people. So
What do you think about this compared to a more Noam-esque conversation wherein we talk about Roe v. Wade?
We had Alan Dershowitz on
We had Alan
next
Dershowitz.
last
I know.
week just to,
Told you.
And it was a good discussion. I like those shows. I'm just wondering whether the
Did you
people-
enjoy that, Periel?
I enjoy whatever makes Noam and Dan happy. That's my role here, really. To just
Okay, now could you answer the question seriously?
Yeah, that was very.
I prefer shows. I don't like doing it over Zoom that much.
Right.
For
Right.
starters, I much
Well, Noam zooms in quite a fair amount. And
No, I didn't
He
mean
was here for
that.
that show, but Alan zoomed.
yeah. Alan zoomed in, so I feel like there's really something about the energy in the room, and
Well, also the sound sometimes with Zoom is Alan was cutting out a little bit.
and the possibility of getting COVID, that always makes it like a little bit exciting.
So Nicole, what is your preference?
yeah, I feel the same way pretty much about everything. Like as a technical person, the Zoom kind of.
Well, no, I'm
pains
talking
me,
about the
but
political discussion versus this kind of more comedically oriented discussion.
Yeah, I will say it every time. I definitely am less scared in these environments, so I'm having fun so far. But yeah, it's tough for me because I don't, I'm not super up to date on the goings on of the world, so I feel, a little more tuned in here.
Well, even with me as a host, you're bound to get you're probably not going to get any discussions of Asian admissions policies at Harvard. You're probably not going to get any discussion of the Steele dossier, which I still am not sure what that is, but I had to do with Trump. I think you know what it is, Ryan.
very on the surface. I wouldn't know much about it.
But you just might get some discussion of some current events type stuff. For example, something I think is interesting: Elon Musk is Times Man of the Year
Okay.
this year, which seems, I guess, I don't know why this year necessarily, as opposed to last year or next year.
Well, why?
Well, I don't know why, because I haven't delved into it. But he is the Man of the Year, and I think it seems like a reasonable choice. He has certainly changed the. Not only is he ridiculously rich.
Is third? Is he third now?
No, he was up at 300 billion, so he was number one. I don't know if it. I mean, it depends on the stock price of Tesla. So I don't know where he is now, but he's
300 billion.
$300 billion.
It's just silly.
It's quite a nice chunk of change.
Yeah.
I've been trying to write a joke about, like, if he goes into a store and like orders just gets a bottle of water, is the guy behind the counter like, okay, one bottle of water, okay, that'll be 50 grand. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't laugh that much, so it's probably not.
I like that first joke you told.
Yeah, you like the Girl Scout one. There's got to be a joke about Elon, about a man who's worth $300 billion. But Gary Goldman he did a whole thing about Bill Gates, and he might have taken all the super rich he might have already exhausted that mine.
Right.
Anyway, Elon Musk thoughts, Ryan Reiss.
This is
And go.
I feel like I'm on PBS. This is very. I don't know. What do you care? Does anyone read
Would
magazines?
you rather
Does
be?
anyone read
Would
magazines?
you rather be? Yeah, that's true. I mean, Time magazine.
And by the way, Elon Musk. I mean, is that really with the times? Shouldn't it be a woman or maybe someone that is a transgender, maybe, or something more?
Well,
Another white
I guess
male.
that's yes. I
Oh,
guess they probably
the
consider that, and
audacity.
despite the fact that he's a white male, his accomplishments are so overwhelming that he squeaked through.
Wasn't Trump the man of the year?
He might have been.
Yeah.
Are you leaving us, Nick?
I have to go.
He's doing
new jokes.
New jokes night. Okay. Do you
Well, I'll
want?
use my notepad.
Do you want to run a new joke by us, or you'd prefer not?
No, I'd rather.
Okay. Oh, best of
But
luck.
I love you guys, and
I
thanks
love
for
you,
having
Nick.
me.
Thank you.
Would you rather be a rock star
Rockstar.
or Elon Musk?
Rockstar.
Okay. I think I'd rather be Elon Musk.
Rockstar.
like a Mick Jagger rock star?
Yeah, like a major rock star, like Mick Jagger.
Yeah, obviously.
So it gets to a point where the money doesn't.
But it's not the
really mean
money;
anything.
it's the fact that he. It's not that he needs the money to buy shit. It's the fact that he has done so much to advance the cause of human development. I mean, he's set us on a course with electric cars. I mean,
Somebody else would have done
yes,
that.
well, but you
though.
can say that about anything.
But not about Mick Jagger or John Lennon. I mean, there'll never be another, being an artist is singular in your talent.
I suppose. I mean, okay, I'll give you that.
By the way, he does comedy. He's done comedy with
has he?
Chappelle. Yeah. So just,
Elon
it tells you about his life. As great as it is,
That's
it's like I
so-
still want to do 5 minutes.
Well, I guess it's the grass being always greener on the other side. And he also did SNL and so on.
uh-huh. See that?
I mean,
he
I'm-
wants to be a rock star.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
a comic star. Yeah, I guess there's no pleasing people, but it's
I
But you-
love
but-
that
but-
that's
but-
Stan's takeaway.
but you can say about any, I guess, scientist or industry person that somebody would have done it anyway. And I think the great men in history, they advance, they speed it up at best a few years.
You're not wrong.
Maybe 10 years.
I
it's
mean,
like,
it could be my personal bias too.
no, but you're right. I see what you're saying. It's like, yeah, nobody would have written Sympathy for the Devil if Mick Jagger didn't write Sympathy for the Devil. It's not one of my favorite Stone songs, but it's a good song.
I like that.
I
song.
prefer, Street Fighting, not Street Fighting. What's the one with that? Whoa, chill. It's just a shot away. It's just a. I've been doing a very poor job of it, but
Is that Beast
Give Me
of
Shelter, Give Me
Burden?
Shelter, Give Me
Me
Shelter, Give Me
Shelter's
Shelter.
great. I like Beast of Burden a lot myself.
a lot of good stuff. But yes, I mean, if Elon Musk had not started Tesla, somebody at some point would have come up with a car,
Yeah, it's like,
more
all right,
or
so
less.
an electric
It wouldn't have been
car,
Tesla,
right.
but it would have been something similar. But he did advance everything several years. And as I said, I think the greatest, the greatest scientists in history, all they do is I mean, Newton maybe sped us up maybe 10 years compared to what somebody else would have discovered what he discovered. I guess I don't.
Who found
or
the
20
COVID
maybe-
vaccine? Why don't we know that person's name?
I think there were a lot of people that worked on that.
Yeah, I think they had it on file.
They may have. Do you think so?
I think they had. I think they were probably already working on something
Well,
in that family.
they're working on the RNA vac. Whatever.
I'm not saying it's conspiracy. I'm saying they were probably working on something within that family, and then when this came along, they were like, "Well, we're not that far off."
You saw that expression on my face. I'm so susceptible to a good conspiracy.
Oh, I
theory.
absolutely believe this virus was man created. I don't understand how that's not a rational thought in everyone's head.
You believe it was created in Wuhan in a lab.
I believe it was man created. I don't know who did it. I
But
don't
why?
know.
Why do you believe that?
I thought that was commonly accepted now.
It's accepted that it's possible, and I'm not saying it's not possible. But I'm saying, why would
It's-
you think that it's probable?
It kind of. If you were going to design a bioweapon, this is kind of the one.
Yeah,
that
but a
would-
bioweapon that just kills everybody all over the world.
No,
Like,
it does not kill everyone. It
Just
kills
old people?
and people that have pre-existing conditions and people that are very overweight. Basically, people that you might not consider essential to society, like people that you can. And then also think about it this way: China, a lot of old people. They had way more old people than they could care for. Wait, I'm not done. And then on top of that, this virus, what it does is it overloads your system. It doesn't actually kill people, but it shuts down everything. Right? You have everyone going to the hospital. It's very easy to invade a country if everyone is out sick.
Oh,
except that
my
your country's
God.
also had sick.
And then it was, I believe, and I have to check again. I think maybe doesn't it affect men more than women?
Yes.
I,
You're saying women came up with it. Feminists.
no.
That's a good joke.
I'm saying that if you were going to make a bioweapon, this certainly has a lot of the characteristics.
Lesbians.
But
it was
again,
created by Chinese lesbians.
But again,
Well, once again, men aren't necessarily considered essential to the species. You need women to have kids. Do you need men? There's a little gray area there.
No, there isn't.
But Ryan, but if it was a bioweapon, yeah, it's easier to invade a country if everybody's sick, unless your country's also sick. I mean, China, if assuming it was invented there, was hit hardest, at least at first. So why would you invent a weapon that also fucks up your people and your ability to conduct a war?
Well, I didn't say that this was something they planned. I said it
You're
was
saying
probably a
that
whoopsie.
that was a whoopsie. Okay, well, that could
It
be.
was a whoopsie.
Yeah.
You're saying they were in the lab, they were inventing this virus that they could use, and then it got out, and well, maybe
What do you think?
I don't think that's.
You think it was
I
from
think it
eating
was.
a bat?
I think it was a virus that came about naturally. Yes, but maybe it escaped from a lab. I don't know.
Is it? I thought it was really sort of dismissed as farcical that it was. From
Well, at
eating
first
a
it was
a bat.
Oh, the bat part. No, I don't know. I mean, people do eat bats. I think in China, I believe so. And and viruses often come from an animal reservoir to humans. I mean, the swine flu came from pigs. That's why they call it the swine flu. So I don't know that that's crazy.
Can you
But-
change the subject? I'm getting upset. It's really depressing. I'm not authorized to change the
Well,
subject.
you're
so
not
you have-
authorized. The question is, it's a more interesting question. Is are you authorized to suggest a change of subjects? And that's where we get it. That becomes a more tricky question, and I think an interesting one. And
request, not.
I would
suggest.
say no. I would say
Request.
Yeah, I know. I would say that it's a gray area. It's a gray area. I have to think about that. But we can get back to. I read something in the Post. We're almost out of time, but this is something I thought it was a recent event, but it turned out it was from like September, but somehow it came up on my Twitter feed more recently. But there was a guy in Russia who killed his best friend because his best friend was raping his daughter. The friendship ended, needless to say, after that.
Way to lighten the subject.
But there's a light aspect to it, relatively light aspect to it. So anyway, he murdered. He took his best friend or his former best friend to the woods and made him dig his own grave and then stabbed him to death or something like that. But anyway, the best friend was babysitting his daughter, and whilst babysitting his daughter, was raping her and filming.
How old was the? And,
I'm not sure.
well, I mean, that seems like a critical.
But if he's babysitting, we can assume that she's at the age where you need a babysitter. I don't think she was an infant, but maybe she was 11 or 12. I don't know. The point is, as much, and I think we can all agree that whatever we might feel about vigilante justice, we don't feel too sorry for the guy that got killed. But well, maybe you do.
I feel like there's a lot of details to the story I don't know.
Well, but those are the details. He raped the guy's daughter, and then he killed.
Then he made him dig his own grave.
Yeah, that's what I read. I don't know.
I think that was an episode of The Sopranos.
The point is as much as this guy got what was coming to him, you have to give the 2021 Bad Judge of Character Award to the father.
What was he doing? What was he so busy that he needed?
Well, every parent needs a babysitter.
I want to ask one of my friends to watch my kid. Are you out of your mind?
It's exactly my point. Is A, you don't ask a grown man to babysit a girl. I'm inclined to say you never ask a man to babysit anyway.
Really?
But maybe you could make an exception. Maybe Elliot.
Spitzer.
No, the name of that actress, but an actor now, Elliot Page. Elliot Page, I might let babysit.
I'd let Mateo babysit.
I'd probably be okay with Mateo. I mean, there might be exceptions, but it seems to me that if this guy was capable of doing what he did, it's inconceivable that at a minimum he wouldn't have had. There wouldn't have been some red flag that at a minimum he shouldn't be babysitting. It's hard to imagine. And again, and I wouldn't let a man babysit unless there were no other options at all.
You wouldn't let a straight man babysit, or you wouldn't let
I-
any
I-
man babysit?
I don't think I let any man babysit. We talked about Mateo. Mateo, possible. I would probably rather have a woman. Although, yeah, Mateo would be. Yes.
Why have you? So for everybody who's listening, that
Mateo is
know
a
what-
gay
I think
comedian that works here
Dan
at the
would want
Comedy
to sleep with the babysitter, so I think that's his angle on getting a woman.
So Mateo is a gay comedian. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're saying should he be allowed to
But
babysit?
why
I
have
guess the
you
answer,
selected Mateo? Just because he's gay, or does he have some?
he's gay, but he also seems to be a
Oh no,
good,
he's very nurturing. He knows how to
he seems
cook.
to be a good
He
person.
sings. He's into video games.
Okay.
He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke.
Okay.
So the question is does this man who was murdered in Russia, did he? I mean, I never met the guy, but it's almost inconceivable that that
But
a
to
decent judge of character would not have picked up that something was wrong with this guy.
But just to your point, I wouldn't let Mayron babysit my kid.
Now that Mayron
That-
wouldn't be my
see,
choice.
and it's yeah.
I would let Danny Cohen babysit my kid.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I will say that as a parent,
And there's another gay guy, Danny Cohen.
I would say that as a parent, I would leave my son with a gay guy before I would leave him with a straight guy, for sure.
Mm.
But now you have a son, so that changes the game a little bit.
I still think straight guy. I mean,
What was with the air
Straight
quotes?
Quote unquote.
well, I mean, there are a lot of quote unquote straight guys who wind up, you find like the coaches who wind up,
Oh, like
you know,
Boy Scouts. Gotcha.
yeah, or what was that? Sandusky, wasn't he
Yeah.
fucking a bunch of little boys? And the popes, of course, or the priests.
Priests.
rather.
Well, I think that there are gay guys that are also that molest as well as straight guys. They're probably more straight.
Yeah,
guys,
way
too.
more straight guys. I trust a gay guy way more than I trust a straight guy.
Anyway,
You listen. You brought it up.
yeah, that's fine. But this guy, this friend, as I said, it's just hard to imagine that anybody capable of doing what he did would not. It would not be. There would not be signs that there's something wrong.
What
with
about
this guy.
being capable of?
What do you think about that, Ron?
I think the father's messed up too. I think he has
Yeah.
a gun and a shovel, and he made this guy dig his own
That's what
grave.
I was
So it
gonna
Oh,
sounds
say.
like these two are like good buddies in evil deeds.
That's insane. I mean, can you imagine what kind of a sadist you have to be to make somebody dig their own grave?
Nicole, what do you think about that? Do you think the father went too far, or do you applaud him defending his daughter?
I feel like that's a huge dad move. like,
Where's the
across
mother?
board.
Does anyone know? Has anyone seen or heard from her? Where is the mother?
The father
Oh
killed
no,
her.
Yeah, I don't
there's
know.
another grave.
Yeah, I don't know. The article didn't mention the mother. Nicole, so you
Yeah.
say what did you say precisely?
Yeah, I feel like that's a dad move to just like escalate to just killing them immediately on site. That makes sense to me.
Okay. You're saying he went too far.
No, I feel like that's a dad move. Like that's what they always say. Like if anybody messes with my daughter, blah blah blah.
Well, there's a T-shirt. You ever see that T-shirt? It's like a meme, and it's like 10 rules for dating my daughter, and it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's one of the rules is whatever you do to her, I'll do to you. And I was like, oh,
Jesus.
so you're gonna go
That's a
down
solid
on me?
joke. That's a solid joke.
That is a solid
It's a
joke.
solid joke.
What's that? So you're gonna go down on me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty.
That's very funny.
You working new material on the pod, Dan?
Sometimes I
Aw,
slip
you
it
don't
in.
Do it
but,
here.
But those shirts I find disgusting. It's like your daughter has the right to be a sexual being and to make her own choices, and these fathers are like, oh, you touch my daughter. It's like, hey, if your daughter's of age, she can do what she wants. Back off.
Didn't we have a conversation not that long ago about some somebody who was taking his daughter into to the gynecologist to make sure she was still a virgin?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Ti.
Yes.
Who's T.I.?
It's a rapper.
Oh,
Don't you remember? We
thought it was
discussed-
Texas Instruments.
It's that too.
Well, he said he talked about it on a TV
That's
show.
even
That
still
was the
around,
problem.
Texas Instruments.
That was the
Ah.
problem. He went on a TV show and it was like he was kind of bragging about how strict of a father he was, and he said this crazy thing.
we discussed this.
Well, I think we discussed. Did we discuss T.I. or we
Yes.
discussed sort of an adjacent? Yeah,
No, we.
well, when we had the guys we fucked or the girls on, and they were arguing with Noam about.
That was before my time.
Yeah, that was before your time, I guess. But
Do you not like crude T-shirts in general, or it's just
no, that theme of a father that vigorously protects his daughter's
Right.
virginity is creepy to me.
Yeah, it's psychotic.
You know, I mean, I can understand a father does not want his daughter to be, you know, the most promiscuous girl in town, but at the same time, you know, you're saying that it. Why are you looking at Periel's giving us a bizarre?
No, I'm just thinking like, you know, I just don't think that fathers. That's not your job. Is to like worry about like who your daughter's like fucking. It's like you want her to be safe and you want her to be careful. I mean, no, fathers aren't worried about who their sons are fucking and if they're promiscuous or not. Right?
Well, you're right, and but
Okay.
there is that double standard. I mean, I which I can't say I don't understand at all. If I were a father of a daughter, I wouldn't want her to be promiscuous. Probably.
That word needs to be excised from the conversation, frankly.
Well, but that's the point I'm
Which
trying to
one?
make. It requires that rule. But
no, but
it's at the end of the. So I would not want to encourage her to have sex with everybody in town. At the same time, she is an adult, or when she becomes an adult, she does have a right to make her own decisions. Nicole, you say what?
I agree that word needs to go away.
Which word?
promiscuous. I mean, it's so.
Well, what word should
sexist.
we use?
Is it sexist? Or
Yeah,
you?
because nobody's describing men
Well, you
as
could.
Well,
promiscuous, but you don't.
But we say he's a
no,
boot.
but I don't. When I hear that word, I don't think of women. I just think of someone who's sleeping around.
Yeah, we could say a guy's a booty hound. We could say a guy's a
You can
horn
say a man's
dog.
It's very
promiscuous. You can
different.
say that too.
It's
Okay, but
very
what word
different.
should we use to describe somebody who has sex with a lot of people?
I don't know. What do you describe with a guy who has sex with a lot
I
of
say the
people?
guy gets.
You
I
know
say
what?
that guy gets more
know-
ass than a toilet seat.
Right, but with a girl, there's some judgment.
Wait. All right.
Go
All
ahead.
right. And because I'm on the middle on this one.
Go ahead.
I don't have any kids, but if I do, I don't want to know what they're doing. Like, that's their business. I don't want anything to do with it. That being said, I don't think I'd want either one of my children, guy or girl, to be promiscuous or sleeping around or doing any of that. Either one.
Okay, I mean it's probably not healthy for a teenage boy to be promiscuous either psychologically or physically.
I don't disagree, and
So,
I
but
believe
we need
you.
a word to describe somebody that bangs a lot.
No. My issue is that
So that
when
you
it's
don't
a
like-
boy, it's somebody who bangs a lot, but when it's a girl, it's somebody who's promiscuous, and there's a judgment inherent there. I don't want my daughter sleeping around. I've never heard anybody say, "I don't want my son sleeping around." Ryan,
It's on the record.
Okay, I accept that, but I think that you're an exception to the rule.
We could just say sleeps around. Then we could just use that word.
I just think it should be equal for both. Whoever it is, it's not that the girl shouldn't be promiscuous. It's,
I mean, I don't know. Like I agree with Ryan when I use the word promiscuous. I don't use it to only refer to women, but I probably use it more often to refer to women. I will
I
grant.
think most people do,
Um,
except for Ryan.
Well, I mean, also, I do think there is. Look, there's definitely men out there that definitely sleep with a lot of women, and that's their hobby.
Mm-hmm.
We know some of them.
yes,
but
we know more. Than
That's
you.
not the standard by far. I know a lot more dudes that almost never get laid than get laid every night by a different girl, and that's their thing.
Well,
Right.
but in my case, it's mostly by choice.
Well, you don't want to put in the work, Dan.
I don't want to do.
You got to
it's
do the
too much
work. These guys do the work.
I approach getting laid like I approach comedy. I'm lazy. But it is, I guess, about that time. I think it was a strong
And
show.
I know guys that married the first girl they slept with. Like, and I know more of them than I know of the guy who goes out every night and meets a different girl. I know more guys that just slept with one girl and married her.
Really?
Yeah, because that's the reality. Yes, we all know the one or two guys that are making a sport of it, but by far, I know far more guys.
Right, but when a girl does that, she's labeled a slut or a whore.
Well, some people, I don't use those words.
We
but
call her a hero because that is.
I don't use those words.
Who do you think sleeping with me and Dan?
I prefer the word. Well, I mean, people use the word sex positive. Has a certain, or to quote Judge Snells from Caddyshack, has a certain zest for life. When he's talking about his niece Lacey Underall. You don't remember?
I don't. Yeah, I do. But I understand those words have negative connotation.
Well,
but
certainly the
not
word
for
slut
everyone's
and
life.
whores do, and I don't use those words.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general. I'm not accusing you
Okay.
of using.
But
those
then
words.
you've said but you've added the word promiscuous to that litany of words that you think
Yes.
are judgmental words.
Yes, I think that they're judgmental toward women generally.
I mean, I don't think that's an unreasonable way of viewing the word.
You're never getting.
But we still need a word. But the point still stands that if I had a daughter and a son, I'd be more upset about my daughter sleeping around than my son's.
Right. That's the issue that I'm taking.
Okay. Well, you're right. You have an issue with
That's
that.
the point that I'm taking issue with.
Because I wonder. Well, first of all, I wonder whether or not a woman that sleeps around is more indicative of mental problems than a boy sleeping around.
Oh my fucking
Oh God.
God.
Where's the door?
Well, because I wonder whether women are just naturally less geared toward doing that. There's evolutionary reasons to suspect that maybe they are.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is, because we have to go through the evolutionary.
No, let's.
No, because
Ryan's
we're running
like,
out of
"Get me
time.
out of
But
here."
because women, once they get pregnant, they have to now deal with that. Do
Do you know how many guys I slept with and never got pregnant?
Yeah, because you
for-
live in the modern world.
I would like
but
a
when
hard number on that, please.
You live in the modern
For the
world where we
record.
have birth control. But I'm saying when we were evolving as a species, women, there was a high cost of sex. Sex cost a lot for a woman because she risked
Right.
being pregnant for 9 months.
But there was
Whereas
a-
for a man, the cost was relatively small.
Right, but there's also
perhaps-
social stigma
So
still
perhaps-
today
I'm saying, but
You
perhaps.
think?
in most of the world. I'm not just talking about New York.
Oh, definitely
City.
the world, but I'd say definitely with me, and then I can see it with my nephew, and it's just not there anymore. And I understand this is a negative word, but I don't I've always been I usually like slutty chicks. That's who I date. That's it. I don't use it as a negative thing. They're usually
In most countries in the world, women are, let's not say most, but I mean, there are numerous countries in the world that if women have sex outside of marriage, they're just fucking killed.
Oh, sure, I agree with you, but I'm saying in this, at least in terms of I even see with my nephew and everything. Boy, I mean they trade partners like it's nothing. But it's
How old are your nephews?
my nephew's 22, and it's just,
and look
he
at the
doesn't-
abortion laws. I mean, I hate.
Well,
to
but I don't wanna go
but
down-
You can't get away from it.
All right,
Sorry.
we're just getting way off topic. My only point is personally, I would feel less comfortable with a daughter that slept around than with a son that slept around. And I'm wondering whether women that sleep around whether that's more indicative of mental issues than a man sleeping around. I don't know the answer to that question, but that is a thought. I think we should wrap this up. Thank you for coming, Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
No, I don't know. You seem like you were about ready to say something.
No, I just thought that was a closer.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had
Final thoughts.
Well, we
Women
have
that
to-
sleep around
Well, because
have
we could go
mental
on.
issues.
We could go on. I don't know if they have mental issues. I posed the question. I posed the question whether this is an unhealthy thing. I think a lot of women that sleep around do so to get attention because, they know that if they sleep around, then guys will pay attention to them.
Why can't they just like having sex the
They
same
can.
way guys do?
They could, but they could also be searching for acceptance in a way that's not the best way to search for acceptance.
Neither is comedy.
Huh?
Neither is comedy. It's the same
No,
thing. You're getting on stage demanding attention for acceptance.
You're right. We're
Mentally ill.
We're not. Yes, and the statistics bear that out very, very nicely in terms of comedians and their issues. But we could go for another hour talking about that. If we're going to have that discussion, we'd probably best have it with somebody that's a professional in that field. I'm just posing some thoughts about it. But
A slut? It's comedy. We're above a comedy club. Come on. No, you mean a therapist or
like a psych
Yeah.
like a psych person.
Yeah.
Ryan Reiss's documentary.
Before we get started,
Before we get started, look for it. It should hopefully
within hopefully 2022.
hopefully in 2022, and you can catch him here on a regular basis at the Comedy Cellar. We have comedy 7 nights a week. We also have a location in Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City. Also 7 nights a week. Periel Aschenbrand, her books, The Only Bush I Trust Is My Own, and
On
On My Knees are available on Amazon. My book, my novel, which delves into the world of stand-up and neuroses. And there's some sex scenes in that book as well. I Respiro Before COVID, also available on Amazon, and you can get a free sample on your Kindle. So see if you enjoy it. Ryan, did you buy a copy by chance? I thought you had said you had bought a copy
Of
my book.
I bought
You're
two.
not-
I bought two.
Did you really?
Yes.
Why?
I'm supporting you.
But don't buy two. What'd you buy two for?
I'm gonna give. Well, it's a gift for someone.
Okay.
I don't want to do it on air. I'll tell you later.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for your support, but it is not a GoFundMe, you know? I mean,
He interrogates people who buy his book. Did you read it? Why are you buying my book? It's insane. What do you give a shit? It's a thank you. That's it. Done. It doesn't matter.
Because every time somebody buys a book, it's one less legitimate sale, and
why is it not legitimate?
It's not legitimate.
Why not?
Because that's charity. That's a GoFundMe. I could put up a GoFundMe. Take Dan Naturman needs money. Give him money.
Nobody's giving you charity.
Of course, they're giving me charity. Nobody wants to read that stupid book.
God. Good night.
It's not a stupid book. I think it's pretty good. Anyway, thank you, and we will see you next time at Live from the Table. Bye-bye.
Good night.